BabyAge.com, Brightex, Bringing Baby Home Safety, the First Car Ride webinar. I'm Jack Kiefer. I'm the President and CEO of BabyAge, and I'm pleased to introduce today Sarah Tilton from Brightex, who's been a long partner of BabyAge.com. Sarah is the Child Passenger Safety Advocate for Brightex Child Safety, Inc. As an active CPS technician, Sarah is a spokesperson for Brightex within the advocacy community, participating in child passenger safety activities at a state, local, and national level. Sarah serves on the new product development, technical writing, and marketing teams at Brightex. In addition, she's developed and manages the current curriculums for the Brightex Customer Service Department and organizes and implements a permanent checking station at Brightex. This has all been through her 10-year tenure with the company. So if you're in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, please feel free to go and introduce yourself to Sarah. Sarah is currently active with the Safety Kids Charlotte Mecklenburg Coalition and is a member of the North Carolina Child Passenger Safety Training Committee. And one thing I need to tell you about this picture of Sarah up here is that that is the absolute best camouflage dress that I've ever seen in my life. And for those of you who have known the Brightex brand for a while, this pattern has been in their line for about 15 years and is my personal favorite. So Sarah, I really appreciate you giving us your time today, and I know that from seeing your presentations in the past, this is going to be very informative for the folks who have joined us today.
Well, thank you very much, Jack, and I'm glad that I could be here and join you guys. Yes, the camouflage is pretty awesome, and I just happened to stumble upon that in the store, so I couldn't refuse. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I am going to try to cover just some of the basics for you about that first car ride, bringing your baby home from the hospital. And in no way do we want this to take the place of you reading the owner's manual that comes with your car seat or checking out the specific section of your vehicle owner's manual for installing car seats. But just to highlight a few of the basic things for you today. So the first thing that I want to follow up is to make sure that you are using your seatbelt correctly while or during your pregnancy. So many people that I talk to have questions and concerns about seatbelt placement during their pregnancy. Please make sure that you continue to wear your seatbelt throughout your entire pregnancy, that the lap belt is actually resting low below your belly across your upper thigh hip area, and that the shoulder belt rests between the middle of your chest. That will cause no harm to the baby, properly placed, should there be a crash event, as well as making sure that you've got your vehicle seat positioned appropriately from the steering wheel with the airbag in it. If that airbag deploys, you want to make sure you have proper distance, which is about 10 inches at least, or most people will say if you can hold your arms out straight and still reach your gas pedal, brake pedal, etc. So just a couple of things for you to think about for your current throughout your pregnancy. So why should we use child restraints? A child restraint and a vehicle seat belt are one and the same. Seat belts are intended for us as adults. Child restraints or car seats are for those children or really smaller bodies until they physically fit in the vehicle seat belt. They keep our bodies inside the vehicle, most important, so that the occupant protection system of the vehicle, being that occupant compartment, will protect us. The vehicle seat belt or the harness straps of a car seat will contact the strongest parts of our body, being our hip bones and our collarbone, as opposed to fleshy material that would and could be injured. The webbing or the seatbelt will actually spread forces over a wider area of our body. They hold our body in place in the vehicle so we can ride down or slow down during that crash event with the vehicle while the vehicle absorbs energy. And lastly, most important, protecting our head and spinal cord. These are components of our skeletal system that are vital to our existence. So most important that we protect those for ourselves as adults as well as our young children. So what's the best car seat? Quite honestly, the best car seat is the one that's going to fit your child, fit in your vehicle, and it's easy for you, the caregiver, to use. So when I say fit your child, make sure that it's the appropriate weight range and height range. You wouldn't want to buy a booster seat to bring a baby home in. If you're having multiple children, twins, triplets, you most certainly want to make sure that your car seat starts out at a low weight. For instance, maybe 4 pounds. There are some rear-facing only seats that I'll describe for you in a minute that start at 5 pounds. But multiple birth weight children typically tend to be a little bit smaller. Fits in your vehicle. Vehicle seat contours, the shape of them, whether it's a bench seat or a captain's chair in the second row or even third row of minivans and SUVs. Their shapes are all different. So you want to make sure that when you purchase your car seat, you go to a retailer that you can actually kind of check out and make sure that the car seat fits in your vehicle. As well as you want to consider if you're driving a compact vehicle and your height and your both the mom and the dad's height, where those front seats are positioned, and to make sure that you have enough front to back room for that car seat installed rear facing, but without interfering with an appropriate and safe seating position for those front passenger and driver. And then easy to use. You want to look at features and how the car seat works, how the harness is adjusted, how the car seat installs, with features that are easy for each caregiver to use. So if you have your parents, the child's grandparents may be using the seat, any physical disabilities, you want to make sure, again, that everyone can use it correctly. Because if it's not used correctly, it will not provide adequate protection to the child. So car seats for children, there are basically 4 steps to the right seat. And this information is actually from safercar.gov, which is a website of the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. We're going to talk today about that birth to 12 months because it's, again, bringing the baby home. But know that you can get information out there about each step of child passenger safety. So why are children safer rear-facing than forward-facing? Children are safer rear-facing because frontal impacts are the most common type of crash. In that frontal impact, the vehicle seat will compress. The vehicle seat belt webbing will actually stretch some because the forces are so significant. While that car seat and all of that happens, the car seat will move forward towards the point of impact, and while that is happening during the most severe point of those forces during the crash event, the child's head, neck, and spine are all going to be cradled by that car seat shell, supporting, again, their head, neck, and spine. Research out there shows that children actually are 5 times safer riding rear-facing. So back in March of 2011, the American Academy of Pediatrics actually updated or revised their recommendation. Previous to that date, they suggested that Children ride rear-facing until 1 year of age and 20 pounds. So the revision now states that all children should ride rear-facing until the age of 2 or until they outgrow the weight and height capacity of the car seat that they're riding in. Many of our car seats today will accommodate children 2, 3, and even 4 years of age rear-facing. That is, of course, again, the best practice to transport your child. So these are a couple of examples of rear-facing only seats. This is a type of seat that you could bring the baby home from the hospital in. And of course, there are many other seats on the market, but we'll just talk briefly about these two Britax opportunities. The Chaperone on your left and the Be Safe on your right. You can see that they both start at, I'm sorry, you can't see it. Both seats start at 4 pounds and go up to a maximum of 30 pounds in capacity. The seat on the left, the Chaperone, has something called a no rethread harness, and then the one on the right has 4 harness slots. They each have 2 buckle positions, and they each can be used 6 years from the date of manufacture. So if you're planning to have a second child, you will be able to use it for additional children, but you want to be aware of how long you've had that seat. At the end of that 6-year time frame, you would want to dispose of that seat. Now, rear-facing only seats have some definite advantages, such as you take the car seat out of the base stays installed in the vehicle, you can carry the car seat in the house with the baby in it. If you live in a cold area, you get to put the baby in the car seat in the house and cover them up with a blanket once properly secured. Rear-facing only seats also have an on-the-go advantage, so they have strollers that they can snap into for movement and activities outside of the vehicle. These are just a few different stroller types that Britax offers that are our convertibles, our infant seats, rear-facing only seats, are compatible with, as well as these strollers are compatible with a few other competitive rear-facing only seats, but there are many options for you depending on your lifestyle. As another advantage of the rear-facing only seat, not only does it snap into a stroller for those on-the-go movements, but you can take it inside restaurants while you're eating, those types of things. A disadvantage to them might be the length of time that you can use them, because they, even though it goes to 30 pounds, quite honestly, as a mom, you'll get that 20-pound baby in an infant carrier or rear-facing only seat is going to start to feel heavy to you. Another type of seat that you can bring baby home in is a convertible. This type of seat can be used rear-facing or forward-facing. Britax convertibles do have a expiration date of 7 years from the date of manufacture. They are all rated or start at 5 pounds and go up to 40 pounds rear-facing. And then we offer a couple of different options in weight capacity, maximum capacity for forward-facing. So the Roundabout 55 goes up to 55 pounds, but Marathon, Boulevard, Pavilion, and Advocate all go up to 70 pounds rear-facing. So an advantage of this type of seat definitely would be the fact that you can use one seat for much longer. Many parents who are into carrying their baby in a baby carrier for bonding purposes will often choose to skip the rear-facing only seat and use a convertible because they're going to carry or wear their baby outside the vehicle, and they will get a much longer usability out of the investment that they will make for a convertible. Maybe a disadvantage to using a convertible for that newborn would be that these do not snap into a stroller for that movement outside of the car if you had any need for that. And one thing that maybe I should point out about the strollers, if you choose not to use a rear-facing only seat and go straight to the convertible, when you're selecting a stroller, make sure that if you're going to use that stroller from birth, that that is a stroller that can be used from birth. There are some design requirements. Many strollers don't start until 6 months, so because they're designed and set up to accept that car seat. So what is used to install the car seat in the vehicle? There are some vehicles still out there in the market today that have a lap belt only, otherwise known as a 2-point. And then there is also a lap and shoulder belt, otherwise known as a 3-point, which is most common in the newest vehicles today in all 3 seating positions in the back seat. In vehicles that are a couple years old and older typically have the lap belt in the center and have the lap and shoulder belts in each of the outboard positions, the positions next to the vehicle doors. But typically you can use either one of these seat belt systems to install a car seat. As well, there is something known as the latch system, lower anchors and tethers for children. And depending on which model car seat you choose, manufacturer, it will have one of many, and these are just 3 examples of what is called a lower anchor. And these are actually attached to the car seat so that it can connect with a component in the vehicle instead of using a vehicle seat belt. So here you can see an example of these little metal bars down in the seat bight of the vehicle. And when I refer to seat bight, I'm talking about the intersection of the vehicle seat back and the vehicle seat base where you sit. This one is very visible. Some of them are a little bit deeper in that seat bight, so you can't see them. You have to stick your hand in between those 2 cushions to feel them. If they are not visible, you should see that little black icon with the what looks like the little cradled baby in or attached to the upholstery of your vehicle seat, and then that anchor should be in the seat bight right below that icon. So you would use one or the other, the latch system or the vehicle seat belt. Primarily, most car seat manufacturers do not permit both, so it's one or the other. And as the children get older and they go forward facing, the second part of latch is that top tether that you would use with forward facing seats. Britax convertibles offer a feature that tethers seats rear facing. You will find the latch system in vehicles made September 1st, 2002 and later, so that is really the 2003 models moving forward. And you will find 2 seating positions in each vehicle that has these lower anchors. Typically, they are the outboard seating positions, and not very often will you find it in the center seating position. How tightly should a car seat be installed in the vehicle? This is something that tends to be very difficult for caregivers to understand. A car seat, when it's properly installed in a vehicle, should not move more than 1 inch at the belt path. So if you look at the little blue circles, that's the belt path is where the vehicle seat belt goes through the car seat. And you just want to put your hands there and try to slide the car seat left to right or front to back. and it should not move more than 1 inch. If it moves less than 1 inch, that's okay, just not more than 1 inch. It's important to understand that some car seats, the way they install, you need to lock the vehicle seatbelt system, and you would need to refer to your vehicle owner's manual on how to do that. Britax convertibles and rear-facing only seats include something called a built-in lock-off, which helps you to achieve that installation and less than 1 inch of movement. So depending on which platform and which make you choose to use, you would need to know how to do that. Where to install the car seat in the vehicle is another very common question. So first and foremost, we never want to put a rear-facing car seat in front of an active airbag. So in that little vehicle outline that I'm showing, a rear-facing car seat, whether it's a rear-facing only seat or a convertible rear-facing in position 3, that's like a never, ever, ever. A child restraint should be placed in the safest place for a child under the age of 12. It would be in the second or third row of a vehicle, away from that active airbag, and it'll be further from that point of impact, again, remembering that frontal impacts are your most common type of crash. Rear center seating position versus a rear outboard. So again, in that vehicle outline, it's talking about position 5 versus maybe using position 4 or position 6. Most commonly, position 5 is referred to as the safest seating position because it is the furthest from lateral impact in the event of a T-bone. However, when we have multiple children, we only have so many center seating positions. So please, every seating position in that vehicle, position 4, position 6, will provide adequate protection. Some of the things that not only having more than one child will put children in position 4 or 6, but also center seating position in many vehicles tend to be very narrow. So if you transport other people in your car, you need access to the vehicle seat belts for position 4, position 6. You may not get a good installation in position 5. So these are all things to think about. If you choose to use an outboard position, position 4 or position 6, the next question becomes, well, which one is safer than the other? It's going to be whatever is convenient for you. I would ask you, do you live in a community or in a city that you parallel park? If that is the case, you might want to consider position 6 over position 4 because you want to take the baby out curbside, not on street side. Another basic about installations, especially with newborns and young children, it's important that we get an appropriate, what's referred to as a recline angle. And here in this picture you can see that 30 to 45 degree range. Typically when you follow the instructions of a rear-facing seat, that is going to be the angle for that car seat. It's going to be somewhere between 30 and 45 degrees. All car seats will have different angles just depending on the manufacturer. Each car seat will come with some type of angle indicator for you to know whether you've got it installed at the appropriate angle. So the purple box, dotted box, is actually the angle indicator on the Britax Be Safe that we use. So when you install that base, that green area just needs to be between those two white lines. If it's a little closer to one line, it's going to be a little bit more upright, closer to 30 degrees, which would be okay for a little bit older child. If it's closer to the other line, it's going to be a little bit more towards the 45 degree angle, which would be most appropriate for that newborn or that young child. And of course, you always want to make sure that you're reading the instructions for your car seat. We talked about rear facing, supporting the head and the neck. The most important thing for recline angle and having the appropriate recline angle, not too upright for these newborns, is that their little head does not fall forward, and it allows them to maintain an open airway during transport. Some car seats do offer more of more adjustability, such as I talked about the indicator shown where the green can actually be anywhere between those two lines, not necessarily in the center. And then Britax Convertibles uses this guideline to help you determine which angle. So all infant carrier seat handles, so these are those rear-facing only seats that snap into a stroller, their handle must be locked behind the seat shell. True or false? It's actually false. It really depends on the specific make and model of rear-facing only seat. So I encourage you again to check your owner's manual or your labels on your car seat. But again, if you're using or driving a compact vehicle and those front vehicle seats are very far back, you might want to make sure that when you're selecting a rear-facing only seat, you can select a seat that the handle can be in any locked position, because if it must be rotated back behind the child restraint and the vehicle seat is all the way almost touching the car seat or child restraint, that might not be possible. So you want to make sure that you can use the car seat in accordance with its instructions. Where should the harness straps be positioned on the child? So when you're rear facing, the harness should be coming out of the car seat shell at or slightly below the child's shoulders. Very important to hold their body down in that car seat. How tight should that harness be? On the left-hand half of the screen, talking about snug. So you want to pull that harness nice and snug around the child. You should not be able to do a vertical pinch and get harness webbing between your pointer finger and thumb like you see in the Not Snug box. I teach a new parents class at a local hospital. I tell the parents to pull the harness until you feel guilty and pull it one more time. Statistics show that about 60% of parents do not tighten their harness appropriately. Keep in mind that the vehicle seat belt holds the car seat in the vehicle, and the harness is what keeps the baby in the car seat. So we want to make sure that that's nice and snug around them. And then the chest clip on the harness, that plastic component, it's not a belly clip, so we don't want it pushed all the way down against the buckle and down towards the belly. The chest clip should be at armpit level of that child. And that's very important so that it keeps those harness straps up on the child's shoulders, and the harness is able to keep that baby in the car seat in the unfortunate event of a crash. So between a nice snug harness and a properly positioned chest clip, we will have retention. Car seat basics. There's all those great aisles out there at the car seat store. When you're purchasing accessories, please just make sure that you are purchasing accessories that are approved by or for the particular car seat that you are using. Many car seat manufacturers do not permit the use of accessories that they did not make specifically for their car seats. They will have warning messages in their user guides that says it may void your warranty. So in particular for Britax products, we do offer a line of accessories. These are just a few that you might be interested in, even for a newborn, That vehicle seat protector is a big thing for parents to put under their car seats to protect their vehicle seat. Head and body support pillow for that newborn. But again, these have been manufactured by Britax for Britax seats. And again, if you use a competitive product, just make sure that you're selecting an accessory that was made by that car seat manufacturer for their car seats. Please keep in mind that the law is the legal minimum requirement. We tend to only want to follow the law, but the law of physics do not change from one side of a state border to the other. As an example, here in Charlotte, North Carolina, we are right on the border with South Carolina, and the laws are significantly different. North Carolina is a little bit more stringent, and we must, if you live in South Carolina and drive into North Carolina, you need to follow North Carolina law. But the laws of physics, regardless of which state I'm in, are all the same. So keep your child in a car seat as long as possible. Best practice is, that's the blue ribbon standard of protection. There's no, if you're doing best practice methods, there is no safer way to transport your child. And you'll never have to worry about what state you're in or what the law is. If you're unfamiliar with what your local state law is, you can log into safekids.org and check your state laws. The IIHS.org also shares state laws, so there are various locations out there for you to get that information. Make sure you register your car seat, please. You can mail in the registration card. Every car seat comes with one. Car seat manufacturers are not permitted to use your contact information for solicitation or marketing. The only thing they can do with that information is contact you in the event of a safety recall. And we most certainly, any car seat manufacturer wants to be able to contact as many of our consumers as possible in that unfortunate event. Also, many manufacturers will offer online registrations, and I bring this up because often those pieces of mail that we put in the mailbox do not always reach their destination. So if you do it with your car seat manufacturer online, you know that you were able to achieve that task, as well as you can always call the car seat manufacturer with your car seat serial number and manufacture date, and they will be able to register your car seat over the phone for you. And with that, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. Hopefully we got some questions that I can answer for you guys. And please feel free to ask me questions via email if you need to do so. You're free to call me as well, but email is typically a little bit easier for me to respond to. Erica, do we have any questions today?
We do. We have a couple, and actually one of the attendees actually just said, well, prior to the questions, they said that they actually love the chaperone, so that's good.
Awesome.
We like to hear that.
The chaperone is a really good seat. It's a little bit big, so the Be Safe fills in a nice space, but yes, awesome seat.
So a couple questions that we have. Somebody wrote in and they wanted to know what should be done if a car seat is in a car accident.
That is a great question. Many car seat manufacturers do vary a little bit on their recommendations, defining what is a severe. Some will say replace it in the event of any crash, and others will say if it's been involved in a moderate to severe crash, and that's Britex's position as well. So a minor crash would be something backing into a telephone pole, you know, out of a parking place, not a big deal. But if you're in a motor vehicle crash that your airbags deploy, you should replace the car seat. If you're in a motor vehicle crash that the car cannot be driven from the site, you should replace the car seat. if you are involved in a crash where someone was injured, you should replace the car seat. And when I say someone injured, anyone in the vehicle. That means that there was some significant forces in that crash event. If there was damage to the door or the side of the vehicle closest to the car seat, you should replace that car seat. You're going to want to check the car seat out after any type of event and look for visual damage, that type of thing. If you're ever in doubt, of course the safest thing to do is replace the car seat. Make sure if you're in a crash that the car seat is noted on the police report that it was in the vehicle, and especially if there was a child in it. And you can work with most insurance companies for them to cover that cost. Some are a little bit easier than others to work with, but typically you can get them to replace that.
Great. Another question that came in, they wanted to know how long until a car seat expires?
So car seats and expiration dates vary with each car seat manufacturer and even each platform. So for example, the Britax Be Safe and Chaperone can be used for 6 years from the date of manufacture. Britax convertibles can be used for 7 years from date of manufacture. Britax manufactures a harness to booster seat, the Frontier platform, that can be used for 9 years from date of manufacture. And many other child restraint manufacturers vary as well. There is a seat on the market, competitive seat, that can only be used for 4 years from date of manufacture, and there's a seat that can be used all the way up to 10 years. So the only way you're going to know specifically for your make and model is to either check the owner's manual or call the customer service department for that car seat.
The next question we have is, what is the best seat for compact cars?
Good question. And that seat is really going to depend on the height, the positioning, the height of the passengers who ride in the front, and where that vehicle's seat, those front seats are positioned. As far as depth, and I'm just going to refer to the Britax seats, the Be Safe is a little bit shorter than the Chaperone. So the Be Safe might fit in vehicles that the Chaperone doesn't. The Britax convertibles actually installed rear-facing are quite compact, believe it or not, so they fit very nicely in those vehicles. It really depends on again, the seating position of those front vehicle seats and the vehicle seat contour. The best way, so there's no magical combination, it's trying out each one. The one thing to keep in mind is, one thing that typically does help that is a lower harness weight capacity is going to make the overall car seat smaller. So we tend to want to buy really big car seats because we're going to get to use them longer. But the problem with that is they are bigger seats overall. So sometimes compact vehicles we need to use, our car seat steps need to be, we need to have more car seats because we need to start out with a small one and graduate over time.
And one of the last questions that we have is, what age do you recommend switching from an infant seat to a convertible seat? And is it safe to use a convertible seat rear-facing?
Yes. Okay. So first of all, at what age do we switch from a rear-facing only seat to a convertible? There is no magic age per se. Most of the time it happens when the caregivers, when the baby gets heavy carrying in that rear-facing only seat, if the child still physically fits based on the weight and the height of the car seat, leave the infant carrier, the rear-facing only car seat, snapped in the base in the car if you want to. Or you can graduate up to that convertible. Again, it's not a magical age. It's simply when they're too heavy to carry or they have outgrown the weight capacity of their rear-facing only seat. A convertible is safe to use rear-facing. A convertible means that it can be used rear-facing and then converts to a forward-facing seat. Rear-facing only compared to a convertible, they just have different advantages and disadvantages based on the amount of time that you'll use them for the investment. Rear-facing only seats snapping into strollers, but safety-wise, one is not safer than the other.
Okay, great. I think that's it for questions. If we did miss some questions, I'll make sure that I'll forward you the questions and we can get them off to the attendees so they have their answers.
That sounds great, Erica.
And the last thing we want to do is we wanted to thank everybody for attending, but before we let everybody go, we just wanted to go over a couple other things that we offer. There's a product concierge. It's a service that Baby Age offers that we're here to help you guys if you have any questions with any kind of, if you were looking for car seats and wasn't sure what to pick, or if you need a little help, guidance in the right direction for any kind of product, we're here to help. And you can email us at concierge@babyage.com or give us a call at 1-800-BABY-AGE. And then as an additional thank you for attending, we wanted to give everybody a coupon code. It's $10 off your order of $75 or more. And you just have to use the coupon code concierge10. And it's valid for the next 2 weeks. And you can either place your order online or you can call us, and we can definitely take care of you that way. So once again, thank you everybody for attending, and thank you, Sarah, for being here with us today and giving everybody information that is very, very useful to all.
Thank you very much, Erica. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks. Bye-bye.